Oh, hi there. Today I'd like to talk about a documentary that was made called The Cannibal in the Jungle. Or was it The Cannibals? It might have been The Cannibals. Let's have a look. Nope, just The Cannibal in the Jungle. It was based in Indonesia, made in 2015, and it didn't get a particularly good rating on IMDb. I didn't check it out for myself. I'd actually only just heard of this because of there was a trailer for it that showed up on my news feed. I watched that and was a little bit interested. They have the whole movie, I believe, on YouTube. First of all, I wanted to know if it was fake or real or not. And there was a guy who made one uh, video about it. His name is Bill's Channel. No capital letters, just Bill's Channel. And it was as I expected. The way how he portrayed the video. Um, First of all, he starts talking about things that are got nothing to do with anything. They're just like tourism spots. And he's talking in a jokingly manner, and it's like, yeah, and so I already knew he was gonna say it was fake. I mean, most of the things I think this guy says, he'll turn around and say they're fake. You'll always run into people like that. And it's not that I think the video that was shown or the documentary was real. It was a dramatization. This humanoid species that they said they found, um, oh, I can never remember what they're called. I'm not good at remembering this sort of stuff. Humanist, there's some stupid name. Anyway, I haven't watched the video. I only watched the quick trailer for it, and I watched Bill's channel and him describing, uh, in a stupid way why it was fake. And the thing is, I don't have to watch the documentary to know that that actually is a story. And you may go, well, what's your evidence? Where do you have you come up with this hypothesis that this is actually a real story? The humanoid creature, which they nicknamed the Hobbit, um, died out supposedly 50,000 years ago, and the character named Dr. Timothy Darrow, who was the man who went with two companions and was blamed for the cannibalization of two of them by the Indonesian government. Is that really far-fetched that there'd be short people who were cannibals in the Indonesian jungles? I mean, this happened on one of the smaller islands of Indonesia. And the thing is, this supposedly happened in 1977, right? This documentary came out in 2015. So that's 38 years later. That meant discussions between, Western governments and the Indonesians. And you'd probably think to yourself, well, it shouldn't be too difficult for the Americans, just to lean into the Indonesians and make them talk. But they do have a loose affiliation with allies in the region that are not allies of ours, like the Chinese, for example. And they have some political clout to them. And I most certainly believe that there could be, and definitely is, people just of small stature who are cannibals in the area. Uh, Maybe they got brushed aside or whatever afterwards because, obviously it's bad for tourism. Uh, you know, but as a hypothetical, should there have been some remnants of the population of these so-called hobbit individuals, they'd be worth a lot of money. There are other, documentary type style things where people don't question the validity of them. The Blair Witch being a prime example. It was actors. There was very little footage, but it was something that was genuinely accepted as have happened. However, because this is international in Indonesia, they had to come out with a bogus story, and therefore all the pseudo intellectuals will go there going, "Oh, it's fake because they told me it was fake." No, you're a fucking idiot. Uh, are they showing you the real footage? No. But were there savages in the Indonesian jungle? Are there still savages in the Indonesian jungle? Yes, they are, and I will come out and say it. And you get other documentaries too. I mean, sometimes even just for entertainment value, they could be worth watching. But mermaids, new evidence. That one, I honestly don't think there's a humanoid fish type creature. I don't believe it, but at least not in nature anyway. Um, you know, there are special interest groups, around the world that, do mixed up taxidermy type things where they make, like this claim, oh, we've found a mermaid humanoid type creature. And there's also genetic engineering and DNA modification and things like that. So one day it probably will be possible that there could be, a part fish, part humanoid creature. That is very possible. I mean, there are people, who waste grievous amounts of resources to scientifically try and create these things. It sounds mad scientist, I know, but throughout the history, that is a thing that happened. I mean, have you ever heard of Pavlov? Um, or the scientists that worked for Stalin and the Nazis and all those other ones? I mean, is it really that far-fetched? I mean, they were contemplating creating, and they probably successfully did it. There's probably some genetic defect, which is why it didn't come into production, of featherless chickens because they wanted to cut out a step as far as the processing factor goes. And it isn't like we're not constantly lied by somebody anyway. And to be honest, that Bill's channel, the guy sounded like a complete douchebag. He was just trying to whitewash it. He was one of the first things that popped up when I looked into it. And as I said, I didn't watch the documentary. I guess I will at some point. And then some people will go, and these are the pseudo intellectuals. They'll go, well, you ain't got no proof. You didn't even watch the documentary. That's not the argument I'm making here. I'm just reading. It was Flores, Indonesia, that it happened in, and that's bad PR. That uh, there could be just very short people over there who cannibalize people, and the man who was blamed for it got thrown in jail and is still in jail to this day. There are white people in Indonesian jails, and believe you me, they do not. They're as racist as fuck over there. I don't care what the fucking television says. That's just not true. And maybe this guy's name is bogus, but it's a documentary, a caricature explaining something that did happen. That's why it took 38 years. And not only that, there are other things that give it away. Like there actually are Indonesian officials in this documentary, mostly police officers and paramilitary, I would think, but they are legitimate. And it's just like in collaboration with an American production company, Animal Planet, they made this documentary, and the discussion about how this documentary was going to be made was done behind closed doors. And obviously, they don't want to damage the tourism industry. That's why they try to bury it. And now that they've figured out that, people actually are kind of believing the story, maybe it happened a few more times since then. Who knows? I mean, is it really that far-fetched? There are cannibal tribes in India. Um, and, people just shouldn't dismiss things because somebody told you that it was fake or whatever. This documentary? Yes. There is no real footage in it. The guy who played Timothy Darrow, his name's Richard Blake. I believe he plays a guy on Game of Thrones or something. Don't watch that show, couldn't care less. I know that's very odd to hear from somebody. Like people would go look at me and go, "Well, you like Lord of the Rings. How come you don't like Game of Thrones?" I just don't like Game of Thrones. All right, shut your mouth. Um, so anyway, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I won't even watch the documentary or whatever. I'll just skim through it or something. But I'm telling you that they don't put money into things like this, and it be this kind of a story, and it be totally bogus. There's always a hint of truth in some things, and to say there are no cannibals in the Indonesian jungles would be a straight up lie. And I know it's not what people want to hear, but it's the truth. And I don't think that's anything other than me having an objective opinion on it. I mean, the mermaid one that they made, Mermaids, New Evidence, that one, I'm less inclined to believe. But, as I was explaining, that, there's a lot of screwed up things in the world, okay, and what people actually do. So, that one I'm less inclined to believe. But, you know, um, I definitely think that, and it most certainly could have been something done by the Indonesian government themselves. Pick some douchebag white doctors that went over there and set him up, because they did explain that this Timothy Darrow became like a Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now, that he lived in a society where he was worshipped and things like that. And that all makes for a fantastic story for the conspiracy theorist. But whether it's true or not, or he's just rotting in an Indonesian prison, that's probably more likely it. um, that's a whole other question. But you don't hear about the prison system over there, or not much of it, because they don't want to discourage people from going to that, third world toilet. I mean, I don't need any persuasion that I don't want to go to any of that part of the world, but there are people out there with, their brains in a sling. They're just dumb as fuck. Like, what more do I have to say to explain to you people that a lot of you are stupid as fuck? And it's the pseudo intellectuals who run around thinking they're smart that are the worst, the most intolerable people. If somebody could criticize what I've said and explain why I'm wrong in a plausible manner, I'd hear them out. But usually that only takes about 5 to 10 minutes to figure out where someone's coming from, and I will already know if I don't agree with them or not. Because unfortunately, the planet, there are people running around who are very, very stupid, and they think they're smart, and they run around being very, very stupid. And it's just because they're OCD and they don't listen that ignorance is not only contained within them, but it spreads. Ignorance is like a plague. Anyway, um, the Cannibal in the Jungle. I'd probably recommend it to watch. It could be interesting. I believe Bill's channel, that the actual video that they have there is fake, but did that story happen and they just twisted the facts around because of pressure from the Indonesian government and any other interested parties in the area? Absolutely. Is it even possible that they found a living specimen? I think so as well. But a lot of secrets. A lot of people can make a lot of money off of things like that. And there's no reason to believe that it's not just in some sort of bazaar somewhere in East Asia. There's no reason to believe that at all. And that would be, a very creepy thing to think about. But, I don't put anything past those people. Anyway, that's what I got to say. Talk to you guys later.